Well, welcome everybody to First Fridays. I again appreciate Claire letting us live stream this and kind of be a strategic partner in this. When I came on with the partnership about 2.5 years ago, it was very, very important to me that we had technology that would allow us to get the message out for all our entrepreneurs that cannot actually be here, because I'm an entrepreneur myself. It was very hard for me to always attend classes, but I always searched online for things to listen to. So this is why we do this. And of course, if you love this story, we know Ying is awesome and you want to share it out there, it will be available. On your tables, there's a little post side card that leads directly into our small business resource hub. So that's where the startup stories, past ones, can be found on there, as well as all kinds of resources and classes that we've recorded throughout the last 2.5 years that I've been here. We also host Top 5, which is on your table. Our next one coming up in June is going to be improving your HR IQ. So if you're looking to hire employees or you have employees, it will be a critical one for you to come to. We put that out for RFP and talk to our resource partners, talk to our chambers to really find out what classes we need to host, and those are the 10 that were selected this year. And then we also just launched a mentor program, which is the business-sized business card on your table. So if you'd like to be a mentor, there's one side for you. If you're looking for a mentor, the other side is for you. And it's kind of like a matchmaking system. So you go in and log, you might need a mentor in accounting, marketing, and HR, or just a general mentor, and we have a system on the back end that actually connects you to our mentors that we have in our system, and then you are the mentee on the other side, and we kind of help you find those mentors for what you're looking for. So that just launched in January. The system's up and going. We're always looking to add on both sides, so please feel free to fill that out. And one thing that I'm going to clue you in on, we don't even have them out yet, is our save the dates for our Small Business Success Summit is November 8th. It will be at the FFA Center in Ankeny. We have 3 keynotes that we're really excited to announce in the next couple weeks, and we are sifting through about 78 proposals that were submitted to teach at that for our 18 breakout sessions. And actually, Ying and her team will be there as a resource partner that day for us as well. We usually have 28 resource partners there that you can speak to throughout the day as you learn, network, and grow your business. So thanks for being here today. We're excited to have Ying. She's a great partner of the partnership as well. And we'll get going. I'll hand it back to Claire.
Thank you. So just briefly, for those of you, since we have so many new faces, the Iowa Center for Economic Success is a nonprofit currently located in Clive. Our mission is to help small businesses start and grow. We do that through education, which is something you're participating in today. I have a summary of all my upcoming events. We do that through access to capital. TJ mentioned she's in the microloan department. We run the microloan program for Iowa Economic Development Authority. So we're kind of that first step that you might need to get some capital to either start or grow your business. We are dedicated to helping you network, because we feel like in Des Moines and in a lot of communities, networking is key to your success. So we provide a lot of opportunities for you to network and connect. We also have Fin Capital, which is Iowa's only all-female angel investing network. So a little Shark Tank-like. 30 accredited angel investors are hearing pitches from area businesses to scale, grow, exit, and I'll be happy with the outcome of that. And Michelle Bartuzik is our tax manager. She runs the VITA program here in the state of Iowa, which is the IRS's Volunteer Income Tax Assistance. We provide free income tax preparation for low to moderate income Iowans, not only in our Clive office year-round, but with the help of 26 partners around the state. So they'll do about 20,000 tax returns during a year. That's a lot of money back into our economy. So thank you for coming. We would love to see you at another Iowa Center Women's Business Center event. But today we are going to feature Miss Ying Sa. And we will get started. So you come sit right here. And I will read her. She's too modest, so she would never introduce herself like this. But she's pretty accomplished, so you get this read to you. Ying Sa is the founder and principal certified public accountant at Community CPA Associates. A native of China and former resident of Canada, Ying served 5 years as Vice President of Controllers for Wells Fargo Financial in Des Moines, and 6 years as the Chief Financial Officer for Iowa Manufacturing Extension Partnership at Iowa State. Go Cyclones. Ying was recently featured in Thomson Reuter's Solutions magazine in 2017 for leading such a successful and dynamic CPA firm with global interests, speaking 9 different languages and serving over 7,000 clients worldwide. Ying has been honored with many awards for her volunteerism, entrepreneurial, and community spirit, including Iowa Volunteer Hall of Fame, Small Business of the Year, and Iowa Minority Small Business Champion of the Year. So you've done a little bit.
That's all in the past.
So let's get started. Did you always want to be a CPA? How did that start?
All right. Our family went to Canada, so I started applying for bachelor degrees after finishing high school. And the only program that accepted me, gave me a little bit of money, is the accounting program. And I actually do want to go to the law school in York University, but it was too expensive. And with my language barrier at the time, and it's just not ready. So I went to accounting degree for 4 years. The whole 4 years, I was promising myself that I would never be an accountant. So that's how I started. So I graduated and determined not to be an accountant. So I started my own business. What I did was, I love art, so I always drew when I was young. And so I started doing craft. And back in the 80s, I think the craft, the wood you make with dry flowers, and the female clay kind of thing was kind of in fashion. So I was creating earrings and the wreath and all kind of things. I made out of 2 pair of socks, I can make a rabbit. I sell for $12 each, Canadian. And so I was doing cart at the mall and paying for 50% of the sales to be the rent. So at the mall. And when I was there, people would come around and go, "Hey, Ying, what do you do? And why did you end up doing this?" And I would tell them that, "Oh, I graduated from York University business program. It's useless, so I'm doing this." And then they will say, "Wow, that's a good program. Why don't you help us with our taxes?" So that's how I started. So I was doing the cart and doing taxes, solving problem. Then the mall manager came around, goes, "Ying, you're in violation of your lease agreement because you can only allow to sell dry flowers and doing bunnies, and you're not supposed to fill up tax returns and stuff for people." And obviously I didn't understand that, so I left and started doing this at home because it made more money than selling bunnies. Yeah. So that's a short story of how I got into accounting.
So you were in Canada.
Yes.
How did you end up in Des Moines?
So in Canada, that's where I met my husband, and he's actually graduated from U.S. University Carnegie Mellon, and he is a professor at Iowa State. He's a professor at York University, where I studied. So that's where we met. And then his dream is always to come back to U.S. because his study in mathematics is heavily used in the military applications. So in Canada, it's just not very good research grants that he can get. So he's coming to Iowa State University. So I was determined to be a housewife because I don't really know what I want to do here. And the visit, well, we did in December of 1996. That was the day downtown Des Moines had a random shooting. The lady, first name Susan, I forgot her last name, was shot in the car by the random shooting in downtown. And we arrived at the airport that day, and I told Steve, and I said, "Great, bring me to capital city of murder." And then he, so Steve said that, "Okay, we're just gonna stay here for transition. Eventually we go to a better place." So that was his promise, but who knows, 20 years later, we're still here. I guess this is the better place.
So, what you did end up getting a job.
Yes.
Here in Des Moines. You didn't stay at home very long.
No. So we bought our first car is an Expedition at that time, 1997. It was so big, I have to climb into the car because the car dealer ordered that car as the first car they had. They didn't buy the running board. And so the car dealer salesperson said, why do you want to buy such a big car? And I said, oh, I am just going to be at home and making babies, and I'm just going to have 5 babies. This car can take 9, so I'm thinking 5 kids, 2 of us, 2 grandparents, and perfect. So that's my plan. But of course, and I got in really looking for something that I can do, and I applied for a job at Iowa State University, and was accepted as their accountant for this program called Iowa Manufacturing Extension Partnership. And that program is to give dollars, federal dollars, to manufacturing in Iowa. And that's actually eye-opening for me because I've been traveling the whole state, driving in the countryside, meet with guys who can't even believe that I'm not from China, I'm actually from Canada. So they will be like really interested in what I'm doing. So I can, I kind of engage myself with them by just giving them a story they did not expect to hear. So I learned Iowa that way.
It's beautiful too.
Yeah, it is great. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And how long were you there?
So for 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
And let me continue to the other employment. Mm-hmm. So while I was in Iowa State University, and there's a headhunter come to me and contact me saying that, Ying, there is an opportunity for you. Nobody else can have it. Only you can take it at Wells Fargo. Because Wells Fargo purchased a Canadian entity in Canada, and they're doing this consumer loans in Canada, but headquartered here in Wells Fargo Financial in Des Moines. And with 9/11, traveling between Canada to U.S. was really a problem. And I have a Canadian passport, and so I can travel easily. And I also have a Canadian education on accounting, and I'm also knowing the U.S. part of it, so it's just a perfect match for them. So I was hired as a business manager at Wells Fargo, and in 19 months' time, my boss who hired me promoted me to be vice president of controllers. And when he told me that, he just said that you're the best manager I ever had. So I was very grateful. Yeah, very grateful.
So when did you had an entrepreneurial bug with the bunnies at the mall. But when did the tax part come in?
Sure. So back in Canada, you know how I left the mall and I started doing my own things, right? So I had a client with me, maybe about 200 of them at that time. So when I knew I come to US, I have to tell client to go away. I do not have that business knowledge to even know that I could sell it, all right? And so I didn't even think of that. So I just called my client, goes, oh guys, I'm going to US and goodbye. And then my client said, why are you going to US? That place, people are gonna sue you left and right. That's what they were telling me. And I said, well, I'm not going to work there. I'm just gonna be a housewife there. So that sort of like settled their feelings, me getting sued, that kind of thing. So coming to US, I left with 50-some clients, Canadian clients. And so I couldn't really get rid of them. They were begging and they don't want to go. So I said, okay, fine, I just keep you. So I have that 50, but while I'm living in Des Moines, I lived in Ankeny, and so the Asian community start to get to know me. There's not a lot of them coming in with the kind of knowledge, I suppose. So in my office, outside of my office, my nameplate is Chief Financial Officer. And so this custodian would come in and say to me that, you know accounting? And I said, yeah. The next day he come in and goes, you know tax? And I said, yeah. I didn't know because I'm new to the US. But he asked me, so I said, yeah, I do. He goes, I have something from IRS. Can you help me because I have to pay money to IRS, I really don't have any money to pay. It's $600 some. I said, okay, fine. Just bring the notice to me and I read it. So he dropped it off and I read it. And I realized that the notice says that he filed his tax wrong and he will get additional $600 some refund. Not money he needs to pay, but he didn't understand it. So a couple days later, he came back and I said, oh, well, you don't really need to pay and you should be getting your money back in about 2-3 days because I was calculating the date. He goes, really? I don't have to pay? I said, yeah, you don't. And we has a little bit of language barrier. He speaks Vietnamese, I speak Chinese and English, so I can't talk to him in native language. So I just made it really simple, saying that you'll get money in 2 days. So in 2 days, he came in with the check. He goes, you're godsend. You actually turned the money I need to pay into the money I can get. I have 20 other people have the same problem. So next thing I know, after the office closed, there's like 20-some people literally lined up outside of my office. But of course, I can't turn every notice to be a refund, And so they all become an issue for me. And I said, okay, I'll look into each one of these. So that's when I started to doing it just voluntarily. And I didn't really think I was doing a business. But of course, the people who I helped and finally resolved the problem want to pay. So they said that, can you just please charge something? So that's where I kind of started outside of my regular 8 hours job and doing business again on the accounting side. So I always tell people that I really not an entrepreneur. I really never thought about it. I am an artist in heart because that's how I really wanted to be. But accounting, I stumbled through it and I kind of just answered the need. Maybe I am taking a lot of things very personally because when clients or people come to me really trust me to do something, I don't want to fail them. So I do it anyway, regardless you pay me or not. And so that kind of resulted into a community-wide knowledge. Okay, if we have issue, let's go to Ying. So in year 2000, we have a fish issue in Des Moines. A lot of you might remember that some Asian grocery store owners were selling Des Moines River fish, and they were charged with commercializing wildlife. That's a DNR charge on these people. So one of the store was charged 20 years prison sentence for each person, the couple, so 40 years total, and $39,000 penalty. And with that, they got probation for 2 years. Of course, they don't go to jail. I think you do probation, then you get over with that. I don't know exactly how that worked, but on the paper, it looks like they got a 40-year jail sentence and a $39,000 charge. So the owner, I don't know them, and they don't know me, but someone told them that just go to Ying and see what she does for you. So they came to my home in Ankeny. And I remember these two people only in the grocery store because they're the business owners, so you buy things there, you know their faces. So they were in my home, literally crying for an hour, would not be able to say a word. So all I did was just sit there, wait for them to finish feeling sad, and then we figure out what to do. So I read a little bit of the background, so I talked to them, realized that the attorney who represented them didn't really do a good work. So they just signed off on the paper whatever the government were charging. So there's really no understanding or negotiation, or there's just no case. Basically, they take whatever. It's like they're selling the bear paws or stuff like that. We're just talking about Des Moines River fish, the same kind of fish. They also buy it in Chicago. This is where the business owner wasn't aware of the difference between whether the fish is from Des Moines River or the fish from Chicago wholesaler. So that day when they raided the store, they have all these fish on the display, but a lot of them were from Chicago. The homeless people who gave them the fish, they only want $1 a tail, and they sell for $1.25. So the owner was thinking they're helping the community by giving them some dollars to spend. There was not 20 tails. There was maybe 1 or 2 from Des Moines River. It was not an organized catching. It is more of just community not understanding what they're doing. So with that, I worked with Drake Legal Clinic. So it's free for the client. Drake Legal Clinic really have done a tremendous job. They overturned the case. So the charge dropped after 4 years, and $39,000 was refunded. And the attorney who represented the client was barred from practice for 6 months. Okay, so that case basically, I was working at Wells Fargo at the time. I used all my vacation for them. I didn't take vacation. I just used every day of my vacation to figure out where to go, where to figure out the result. Of course, there's so many other Asian community members who were helping, encouraging me, and helping me, so we worked it together. So once that case overturned in 2004, and the business owner said that, I got $39,000 back. I want to buy you a car. And I said, I don't need a car. I really don't need any money. And because I did this for you for free, and I never thought of charging you anything. He goes, no, I have to do something for you. If you don't want the $39,000, let me set up an office for you, free of charge. You stay there for a year, figuring out whether you can be a business person or you still want to work at Wells Fargo. That's how I started Community CPA. It wasn't really in my plan, but the office is there. He made it, he renovated, and so I went in and did a whole year, and then I realized that, you know what, I just really need to make a choice between Wells Fargo and the business just started. So that's how I got on to work on business.
How did you come up with the, I think I know, but how did you come up with the name Community CPAs?
Yes, that's something, I even had people go, what is that, Community CPA? You know, for law firms of CPA firm, it's always people's last name. You know, of course, people take pride because they're the main person in there. But to me, I really don't have anything in my fiber to take that pride, because I really do believe it is not me. It is really the community. Just look at how the firm is coming about. It wasn't in my business plan, I'm going to do this and do that. It is just a community needed you, and you happen to be in the right place. It's almost like getting into a car accident. You're in the right place to have that happen, right? A wrong place or right place. So I'm in that position to kind of take advantage of the circumstances and made it happen. So it is a really community effort. So we had no doubt this company need to be a community CPA, not any other form, yeah.
So you did the two for a while.
Yes.
Yes, but there came a kind of a pivotal point where you got sent
Yes.
to this.
You know, I really want to share this with you. You know how a lot of times you as an employee, you work in an organization. And I'll tell you what I think. Is actually, in today's world, it's very easy for you to think that, oh, I need to be an entrepreneur so I can shine. So, because that's sort of like, that's what our people are saying. But when I was an employee at Iowa State or at Wells Fargo, I'll tell you that I tell myself, if I knew I was taking advantage of that job, say I was taking Wells Fargo's time to do community CPA's work, I would not live with myself that way. I would never do that. So the moment I realized community CPA is going to take too much of my time, and I'm sitting in Wells Fargo's conference room working with people while thinking about my business, that is not ethical for me. So I knew that at one point of time, I need to make that call. So my boss, Eric Tokerson, I respect him a lot. He's the one hired me. He's the one promoted me. And he's just a gentleman that knows who fit in what, and he just have the eye for that. So he sent me to a 1-week retreat paid by Wells Fargo to develop their next tier of leaders. So they do like personality studies, and they get into your personal matters, they make you talk, and they tell you what needs to be done so you can grow in Wells Fargo. After that 1 week, I can't even tell you how many times I cried during that week. It's really terrible. Like, why do you cry? I don't even know why I do that. But, you just discover yourself. You realize that what is right, what is wrong, or what is fitting, what is not. So it was a painful discovery for yourself because, at that time, I made up my mind. I need to leave Wells Fargo. I need to just give myself an opportunity to really live for the need of the community. It doesn't really matter at that time I make money or not. I mean, I was born in China. I came from a very poor place. I have my days where I don't have 25 cents to even make a call. So I'll walk the highway to go home or to go to the place I rented. And so coming from that background, it's very easy for me to not hang up on wealth. Does that make sense? And that's why I always believe that if a person has that experience, it will level your life that way because you're not afraid. You know that you can survive. I survive for $20 a week for food, and I eat really well, $20. I just have to be diligent with what's going on sales, right? So really, and I'm not afraid of that. So I don't really look to that. And what I look to, what I am being attracted to, is the need, is the people who come to me and I give a solution. They call that your God sent so many times in my career. And that's what I see people, that's how people come to us. So with that said, and I'm not looking at the money, so I'm already in the United States, my husband makes money, and we're not living in a subsidized life, and what am I afraid? And I can just drop my, $250,000 job and just do something else. So with that thinking, I decided I'm going to just leave Wells Fargo and go do something else. So I talked to my boss, and I said, Eric, how much did you pay to train me for this week? He goes, probably about 28. I think he said 28,000 or 38. I don't quite remember. It's a number I cannot pay back easily. So I said, well, what if I decided I'm going to leave Wells Fargo? Would you make me pay that back? And he looked at me. He said, that's a gift to you from Wells Fargo. And we just want you to do good. And I am waiting for you to come to say that. He already knew, my boss. So I give Wells Fargo 6 months notice, made sure the transition happens, and slowly and with appropriate people. Then I got on, starting from 2008, I was full-time with Community CPA. So that's kind of the journey to entrepreneurship. And I would say that while I was working at Wells Fargo, when I hire people, I always enjoyed to hire people who had entrepreneurship experience. Because those people, when they had their business, then they decided to work for Wells Fargo because they already learned themselves. They know what is the best for themselves. Not everybody cut the same, and we all are in the process from the day we were born till today. We all are in the process of discovering ourselves, right? So knowing that Ying's experience is not yours, and your experience is not mine, and we all have to discover your own experience, and knowing that every experience is a good one. I know when you are in your 50s, you sit here, you will tell same good stories, and it's really available to everybody. You actually do have a good story. So just don't look at me sitting here goes, oh wow, she did so many things. Like I said, everything I did is in the past. okay? The past is the circumstances, and it's really, I don't claim credit to it, but I do feel grateful that that happened. And especially if it has happened positively to the community, that's even better. Sometimes the work we do or work your employer doing may not in line with your belief, and so that's where the struggle comes. So I just feel grateful that I don't have to struggle that. I do what I think is good. What I think is good is also good for the community. That's so easy. Life is easy. Yeah.
So let's talk about your culture that you've created at Community CPA, and how was that deliberate? The first hire, the second hire, who you bring on your team, because you shared that the employees, even when they leave, they become your ambassadors. So talk about how you created that type of culture.
I don't think I had an agenda to create that. It's sort of becoming the consequences. And in our firm, small firm, we started from one employee, the first one. Now we have about 23 of them. And the other day, I was looking at, every time we have an employee, we register them on our system. So I went back to look how many employees I had in the past. You would not believe that number. And it's close to 60. Okay? Community CPA has been in practice since 1998. From that day to today is 21 years, right? 21 years, I only have 23 employees today. We've gone through 60 people. That tells you that turnovers, people discover they don't fit, or we discover they don't fit, is a cup of tea, right? It's a daily tea for you. So, but in our firm, we really truly respect individualities of a person, because not one person, we are all so unique. Some people, for example, I have one employee I hired. She just lost her job with a construction company, and she speaks perfect English, perfect Spanish, and she used QuickBooks at the construction company. She's a CFO of that company. How could she not be a perfect fit? I hired her on the spot, and she came in, and I wanted her to grow in the firm. And imagine she only stayed for 3 weeks. She left. And we had a good talk on why she left. And let me tell you why she left. Because she worked at a construction company, and even though she's a CFO, but she ran around the job site. She is a person that is out all the time. And suddenly come to Community CPA is the time sitting on the chair and doing works in front of a computer. That is just something that she couldn't even make her body listen to her. She stands up all the time. She couldn't really sit. And she ran around talking to people, realized that people are really not wanting to talk because everybody is busy. So imagine that. So she come around, she said that, Ying, I really thought I would be a good fit, but now 3 weeks in, I don't think I'll be helpful to you because I literally could not sit. I literally need to go out to meet all of your clients, but that's not really your practice. So that's how we parted ways. And I mean, every parting ways, we have a circumstance that we understood. So literally, we don't have any employees goes out and will say things about that place is horrible. We are not horrible. We really are very humanity driven, and I want everybody to be happy. Now I'm in my 50s. All these kids are like my kid age. I could not, if my kid can tell me that, Mom, I don't want to even know what you're doing, and I can't be saying I'm mad. That's their choice, right? So if you have a kid come in, work for you for 2 days, goes, Ying, this is just not for me, and I don't want to work for you. I think that's totally fine. They're just like my kid age. So I think age does help, and I mean, I always worked with younger people, so younger than me, so I always had that motherly thought as well. So I really will tell you that I love every one of them. Yeah, when I see them, I always be able to get an update. And we have clients coming in, tell us that who told us to come to you. Those are our employees. Those were our employees in the past. So yeah, if you're in business, try to develop that. I didn't really know I was developing that, but what I'm telling you is just what I did came out with that result. So maybe that is a development, and it just really be understanding. In reality, there is nothing in this world you really need to take an attitude at. No, nothing. Even client left you, they're mad, and I always tell my folks that client can leave us, but we need to understand why they're mad. Sometimes they're mad is really not because of us. Maybe they're going through really ugly divorce. They just need to find a place to channel that frustration. If you happen to be that place to channel the frustration, I would just let that pass, because that's normal. Human beings, we all have those moments. So once you accept that, no, there's nothing to affect you. You know, this life in US, this life in Des Moines, in Iowa, I will tell you that is the best life you can ask for.
There we go.
Right?
Yes, it is. Okay, let's talk some business about starting a business.
Sure.
So clearly you had the numbers down. So you understood the numbers it was going to take to be able to not pay rent for a year, which was quite a gift. But what did you do about revenue? And how, because if you're doing taxes during a tax season, that's a season. So what did you do the rest of the time? Did you find other revenue streams?
Yes. So in accounting businesses, you always struggle between the really crazy busy time versus sort of okay time, right? And maybe in other businesses, you also have those peak season. So what I always knew is that you can't have your everyday be a peak season because you tire people out. I'll tell you the length, as a generally speaking for human beings, the period of time can be really, really stressful is only 4 weeks for a good employee. But tax season is 13 weeks. Think about that. So with that, and you know that it doesn't fit everybody. So there will be people for 13 weeks is too long for their mental. They cannot handle it. So you want to develop a business that you balance that out. So those people who can't do the 13 weeks crunch, and then you can have them do something else. So with time, we break down the business. So we break down the tax preparers. We have an accountant who does financial statement. So those accountants don't have to be that busy during the tax preparation time. Then we also have auditors who audit nonprofit organizations, school, and the city. So those auditors, they don't have a tax season, so they can go normal. And then you also can develop other things like applying for food license and the business consultation, that's what we call it. And so, or even helping people prepare loan documentation, and so they can apply for targeted small business certificate. They can get loans from, the Economic Center, Iowa Economic Center. So those things are things we can do. And, once you have that thought, and you will start placing people into the spot that they can handle. And the bigger the organization is, the easier that becomes. But let me just tell you that when I just had 2 employees, they all have to be good with everything. So that is why the turnover is so high, because you hire one you think they can, then turn out to be not. So I would say that in the first 8 years, 10 years, a lot of it is depending on me. So if someone is leaving, I step in, I'll do exactly what they need to be. So it's a little easier if you are already a technician person. You already have the skill. You also do the business. So you know that you can always put your body to cover the hole, right? And so that's easier. But if you are an entrepreneur and you are doing something, you're relying on other people, and you can't put your body on top of that hole to save the business, that's when you really would look for investors and look for talent you can hire and retain. big dollars. So those are kind of considerations to come in. So I would say that in my business, I had one advantage is because I know it. So if we short up people, I just go in. But if you ask me today, oh Ying, how many work you do, I will tell you that I don't run payroll, I don't run tax preparation, and I don't run bank reconciliation. What I do is I look at the file overall to give input of, what kind of strategy we have for tax saving, things like that. And I still teach people. I teach people in my firm so they can be like me. The key is to duplicate yourself in your team so that you can have many Yings to do the same quality work. Yeah. I hope I answered that question.
You did.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Immigrant Entrepreneurial Summit and how you got involved and how that's grown and what the future holds for that, because it's an exciting event.
So, long time ago, when I was still at the office, client provided me, I don't pay rent. And at that time, remember, I also work at different places, at Wells Fargo. So I drive down 2nd Avenue and stop at the office and do a little bit of work. When the time comes, I go to Wells Fargo to do my real work, okay? So that day, I stopped at my office 4:30 in the morning because I have things to do. So I was planning to do 4:30 to 7:30, then I will go to work at Wells Fargo. And 4:30 I arrived. I was literally scared because there was a car still on and waiting for me. So it was a gentleman and sitting in the car waiting for me. So I opened the office and he came in. I said, "Why are you there so early?" I was literally kind of a little scared. He goes, "Well, I have a good news to tell you. I can't wait, so I'm just waiting for you to come in." And I said, "Okay, what happened?" He goes, "Remember I was going to start up a car repair shop? I finally bought the property. So now I need you to help me start accounting and everything, and I'm starting the business. First I need to renovate." So he was telling me about his plan. And I said, "Oh, great. Show me where is your property?" So he showed me the HUD statement, which he bought the property with. And it looks like a residential house, my first impression. So I said, "Where is it?" So I went online to look at the location of the place. And I said, "You sure this place can be a car repair shop?" He goes, "What do you mean?" And I said, "Do you know that you cannot do car repair shop in the house? It doesn't matter how you renovate that place." He goes, "Really?" He goes, "Well, I already bought it." And so it turned out it wasn't zoned for what he wants to do. So he wasted $24,000 for that property. He saved it for literally 5 years. And so with that, I know there's some knowledge in business that is not obtained through a master's degree or bachelor degree. So there has to be a business education. I call that a business equalizer, that not just knows knowledge available to people, knows where they go, also available to people don't know where to go to ask, right? So that's where IES come from, Immigrant Entrepreneur Summit. We want one-day crash course, not to address anything too sophisticated, but just practical issue. If you do businesses and what kind of license there is that you need to know you obtain. And I have another African immigrant came to me and says to me that, "Ying, I have a bank." I said, "Really? What do you mean you have a bank?" "I started a bank." "Oh, really? What do you do with the bank?" "I loan money, $500 a piece. By the weekend, I'll get $750 back. That's good money. I have done so many already, Ying. I have money to pay you and make sure I get a bank." Then when you pull up the website to read out the banking regulations and things that he needs to do, he just shrinked back to his chair. People like that. And no immigrant, I always tell the immigrant fellows, none of us who come to US, we're trying to break the law.
I know we are not. All of us come here for this American dream, but sometimes people forgot to know that you have to sleep in proper place to have that dream. Otherwise, your dream cannot come true because you might even end up in jail. We have one African immigrant went to jail because he was a tax preparer and he does all the tax preparation for his tribe people. They call themselves a village. Okay, they're from Africa and they're all live in a tribe. They're all families. And he has 7 kids and he sells 4 other kids to other tribal member and for $1,000 apiece, so they can claim child tax credit, earned income tax credit, and he doesn't know that's illegal. He thought this is a big family, we can do whatever we want. By the time I knew that, he is already done. He is ready to go to jail. He came to me, goes, Ying, do you remember me? And I said, well, okay, I don't, but maybe I met you. He goes, when I started the tax practice, you helped me. Because when he just wanted to start it, I told him where to go to look for these registrations, so I did help him. But after that, maybe 4 or 5 years, I never see him. And so then next thing I know, he's in jail. And I felt hurt when I see people like that. I knew he didn't come here to go to jail. And I ended up has to tell him that the federal jail is not so bad. You even have a tennis course there. What else can I say, right? But we know he didn't come here to go to jail. So education is important. IES is a necessity for immigrants. That's why I and 2 other immigrant business owners, we started that in 2008. It is, the first one was in Drake at Ohm Center, and then we are having another one on November 23rd, Nora's brother's birthday. And that day, right after Greater Des Moines Partnership has this entrepreneur event, that's on the 8th. So the week after, not a week after, the following week, we'll have IES. So that building, FFA building, is really a place that business get born. So if you're interested, go for both events. They're all very useful. Yeah.
The education, clearly you're motivated and your passion is to educate, and our community is better for it. Should we should we do Q&A real quick? Okay, all right. We'll open it up for Q&A, and if I have time for another question, I'll do that. Question, and I'll give you the microphone. No? Okay.
So are you still taking new clients?
Always.
Even entrepreneurs that don't know what they're doing.
We will educate them.
Perfect. Anybody else in the audience? No? Okay. Let me get to self-care.
Okay.
So talk a little bit about what you do to rejuvenate. You go at a pretty high pace all the time, but you shared with me some things that you do to take care of yourself.
Yes, lately I've been reading a couple of books. One of them is by Michael A. Singer, Untethered Soul, if you have read that one. And the other one is a Canadian writer who did a book called Power of Now, and by Trolle, T-O-L-L-E. And so these folks, you know, I take that as my relaxations. I want to understand how they look at life. And I would say that you want to, you know, if you ask me, how you do so many things and not being frustrated or negative anytime, that's a lie. You haven't seen me being negative, okay? Everybody go there. That's a capable human emotions that are available to us. So we get upset and we get frustrated. And there are times if someone come to me and goes, Ying, do you want to close Community CPA? My answer is yesterday. Okay? So it is okay. It is normal. But most of the time, I remind myself is that what I do is really a joy of life. You have to know that everything you do is really your life journey, and you will never get to, I don't set goals. That's one of my things, and I want you to know that I actually don't set goals, because I believe when you set goals, you set a reason for yourself to be disappointed. Because sometimes we can't control, not sometimes, we can never control the circumstances. And I don't believe that we as a human has a way to decide where our tomorrow is. No. If you go to, I participate in Senior on the Move, that is an organization, and I meet with some seniors there, and I like to ask them their question, and I just ask them, do you anticipate today when you were young? I will tell you that I probably asked about 4 or 5 people that question before. None of them said to me that, oh yeah, I'm exactly where I am as I planned before. Then I will say, how about your retirement plan you did when you were young? Do you anticipate the same result as today? The answer is equal. No, it is not the same, because stock market crashed and they were anticipating something, but it didn't get there. When that was crashed and they got disappointed, so they took all the money out, so they never can go back. All right? So saying that is just to say that we really need to know a way to relax ourselves, let life happen to you, right? And you want to live a happy life, the first thing you have to decide that you are happy today. That's really what Power of Now is talking about. I really echo everything in that book. That's why I was reading that book thinking, okay, I'm just going to read the first 2 pages. Then I ended up reading it a second time, right? So that's how I really, so when I'm with people, I remember my own struggles, but I have seen so many clients. We actually now have about 8,000 clients, more than 8,000, maybe about 9,000. I have seen too many lives, like, showed up in my office going through what they're going through. I am, of course, sympathetic, but I also know that it's just a period. Nothing lasts forever. So when I see clients, I just had a doctor, very accomplished doctor, going through divorce, and both of them are accomplished doctors, both of them. They don't have money issues. They don't have no issues, what we are imagining, but they just don't want to be together. So I say to both of them, they both were our clients. So now I have to give up one because they're filing divorce. And so I tell the one that with me that try to go through divorce and with the mind that you always remember what good about that person, but not what bad. Because this divorce will be done, and 10 years later you look back, you're going to be enjoying the time that you spent together. So don't do hard ones right now. And so we don't have to fight financials, but there's people just being that way. But I try to say that the life can be lived a little different if we can just focus on what we have today and remember the people don't even have half of what you have today. Remember the people who are in that different part of the world, they can't come together like this, sit here eating popcorns and not cold, not hungry, not hot, and it's just perfect. I mean, we can be greedy, right? Just try not to be that way.
Anything to add to that?
Yeah. Thank you, though.
Thank you. Thank you, Ying Sa. Community CPAs IES conference, and we hope to see you again at another event. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah,
There's bright orange evaluations, if you wouldn't mind. We read them, and I do my programming based on your suggestions, so thank you.